is your host, Cosmon Cal.
The host with the most, holding that fire like a roach clip. Hey, Cosmon, kicking it right back one more time, man. Hey, this is number 309, oahspe, True Law of One. You dig what I'm saying? Salute to everybody streaming in, man. Share the live out. You dig what I'm talking about? Throw it in all the chats and everything. Hit everybody up. Let's get it cracking real quick, man. Let's just get cooking real fast. We'll let the people come in, and we'll just set the mood real quick, and then we'll jump into the brother Brian Scott. You did what I'm talking about. It's funny, they talk about this black-white stuff all the time, and how the white man's supposed to be this low spiritual entities, less than human, and all this stuff. A lot of this racist stuff, but it's funny that it's our people that's always attacking us. You dig what I'm saying? You can bring up that white boy stuff all you want to, but at least he took the time to actually read the book before he made a comment on it. We're going to get into his breakdown and his, unapologetic view of it itself. After just, taking a first glance of it. But without further ado, you dig what I'm saying? Let's get into it.
All was, all is, all ever shall be. The all spake, and motion was, and motion became his speech, and life began to stir in the womb of silence. I am, he said, the unseen became felt. The hidden became breath, and there was no thing, great or small, that was not him. He is the soul of all. The stars, his eyes, the wind, his whisper, the seen and unseen, his body and soul, by his presence, life, by his presence, death, by his presence, the quickening, the motion, the eternal flame, first and last, beginning and end. Two forces flowed forth, the seen, corporeal, heavy, fleeting, the unseen, potent, eternal, invisible. From these he formed all life, and man, chief over all, male and female, made in reflection of the two. And to awaken man to him, he whispered, name me, not by idol, nor star, nor beast, but by what you hear in the wind. And man listened, and named the Creator by the sounds of the breath of earth, Eoi spoken now, Jehovih, not a God of form, but the living presence within all forms. I am, the all light, the all motion, the love that moves the universe.
Premium cuts of meat without the premium prices.
It's an Aldi thing.
For each and every corporeal world, created our vortex first, and by its rotation and by the places in the firmament whither it traveleth, caused are the vortex to conceive the corporeal world. A great vortex created I for the sun, and within this vortex and subject to it, made I the vortices of many of the corporeal worlds.
Think not.
Oh, think not.
Think not.
Oh,
think
man,
not.
that I created the sky a barren waste and void of use. Even as man in the corporeal form is adapted to the corporeal earth, so is he in the spiritual form adapted to my ethereal worlds. Three great estates have I bestowed on man: the corporeal, the atmosphere, and the ethereal. Things that man sees created I with a beginning and an end, but the unseen I made of endless duration. The corporeal man made I belong into the scene, but the spiritual man made I as one within the unseen and everlasting. As the corporeal man beholdeth corporeal things, so doth the spiritual man follow upward the evaporated corporeal entities of things. As corporeal things are tangible to corporeal world.
Some readers ask,
The oahspe says the ihins were white and yellow, and the druks were brown and black. Isn't that racial discrimination?
it's a heartfelt question, and it deserves a thoughtful answer. The answer is no. The oahspe is not promoting racism. In fact, it teaches that all souls are children of jehovih, no matter the form they take. But this verse is often misunderstood, especially if we read it through a modern lens. This passage is describing very ancient symbolic lineages. The ihins were a temporary spiritually guided race, small and gentle, born of spiritual and earthly unions. The druks were the offspring of disobedient unions between early humans and higher beings, denser in vibration, but still loved. These were not modern races, but spiritual categories from a long past era. In oahspe, colors like white, yellow, brown, and black do not represent race or value. They represent spiritual vibration and density of soul condition, much like an aura. It is about light and evolution, not judgment. oahspe teaches that the true measure of a soul is not color, form, or title, but how it lives, loves, and serves. We rise not by what we look like, but by how brightly we shine Jehovah's light. So no, this verse is not discrimination. It is a symbolic echo of early spiritual evolution. We must read with discernment, not fear. And above all, remember, the Creator judges no soul by form, only by light.
I need a faith, white foundation built right with a woman alike. I need a faith, this white, walking the path, and the faith is life. I need a faith, this white foundation built right with a woman alike. I need a faith, this white, walking the path, and the faith is life. I need a faithless wife, full of prayer every day. Moving with intention, never drifting astray. Disciplined and gentle, but firm and approachable. Grounded in the light, in the presence always notable. See how she carry quiet strength in her frame. Not for empty talk or for playing no games. Mind kept in order, spirit kept in line. Building from the base, hope you rise over time. Simple in the walk, not impressed by the shine. Keeps the vessel clean, every action aligned. Through the highs and lows, she don't break or divide. Keeps the path steady as she walk at your side. No confusion in the aim, no drift in the road. Got to find the work, keeps it under control. It's for the faithless, seeking peace over noise. Watch how it show when it steps in a poise. I need a faithless wife, foundation built right. With a woman of light, I need a faithless wife, walking the path in the faithless light. I need a faithless wife, foundation built right. With a woman of light, I need a faithless wife, walking the path in the faithless light. It's so soft and don't move with the crowd. Balanced in the ways, but never speaking it loud. She got a prayer for the souls that have lost their way. Keeps memories close, though friendships fade. Not the type to chase every sign that appear. Understands the pull, but she keep the vision clear. Idea building by Jehovah's design, where it's more about the spirit than the growth of the mind. Dressed plain and clean, not impressed by the drip. When the pressure hit, she never fold or flip. Standing in the place, never quick to react. When the noise get loud, oahspe get cracked. She move with awareness, see the shifts in the air. Knows what to give and what's forbidden to share. Carries it with grace, how she walk, how she speak. If the vibe get off, we ain't playing for the weak. I need a faithless wife, foundation built right. With a woman of light, I need a faithless wife, walking the path in the faithless light. I need a faithless wife, foundation built right. With a woman of light, I need a faithless wife, walking the path. Faithless life. Now the bill feel different when the union right. Two aligned in the wheel, both moving alike. Nothing getting in between, no division inside. Everything is sync. When she walk, I feel pride. When the pressure come in, it get handled with ease. No confusion in the steps, everything flow with peace. She don't add to the weight, she be helping to lift. Turn the strain into growth, such a delicate gift. Every move got a reason, every choice got a base. Ain't no drift in the bond, everything in its place. From the mind to the work, it's a unified flow. What was hard on your own, now it's easily grow. This the type of connection that refine over time. Not just love, it's alignment in the body and mind. That's the reason it matters. Who's standing beside with a faithless wife? Keep the whole path aligned. I need a faithless wife, foundation built right. With a woman of light, I need a faithless wife, walking the path in the faithless light.
Codex Code Review is industry gold standard. Our engineers ask for it by name. We've been
everything meets me where it's check the stars, yeah, I know when I win. Numbers talking every time I move. 111 saying trust the truth. Copper wrapped around my energy. Crystal sing harmony. Root the crown, yeah, I'm balanced now. Every block just broke itself down. I don't force, I attract. Every cycle brings me back to myself. I'm a goddess, I'm glowing everywhere I go, knowing the universe been showing me love. I'm alive, I'm chosen, intuition in my motion. I don't chase, I'm open to love. Yeah, my life got rhythm, every step divine precision. I was built for this position. Yeah, my life got rhythm. Every step divine precision. I was built for this position. Astrology map my lane. Saturn taught me patience through the pain. Chakras spinning clean and wide. I feel my power when I decide. I don't question why I shine. to the ground. Oh, what's been truth, bring it loud. I remember who I am, light and hold it in my hand. Everywhere I go, I'm knowing. Yeah, my life got rhythm. Every step divine precision. I was built for this position. I no fear in my walk, no doubt in my tone. I speak things alive, then I leave them alone. I'm not lucky, I'm tuned. I don't beg, I commune when the veil gets thin. Oh, now listen. I'm going here, I'm coming up.
I put on my black shades because my future is so bright. Roll me up a spliff it so I can get right. No worries on today, I took the day off. Jamming on the red star. We'll get there walking or by car. Not matter how far. Mr. Cloud Kicker, please don't hurt them. False gods, we gonna work them. Them sacred book got to judge them. You bring them, we raise them, have to serve them. Tons from the depths of my being, organically real. Center of the feeling goes far beyond the ceiling. We got that good stuff in Cosmonera. I got that good stuff in Cosmonera. We got that good stuff in Cosmonera. You got that good stuff in Cosmonera. It's 420, I feel like I'm about to float. Been to a few nations like a spotted coat. Head on swivel in the spirit, intuitive gold. Our stars can't be replicated, now act like you know. We be jamming on the red star with my friend. I got that good stuff, yeah, in Cosmonera. You got that good stuff in Cosmonera. You got that good stuff, yeah, in Cosmonera. We got that.
What are densities and dimensions?
Though the terms may vary, the truths remain eternal. Densities describe consciousness levels, how much light, love, and unity a being holds. The third density is our physical realm of duality. The fourth awakens the heart and compassion. In the fifth, unity returns. And from there, souls rise into radiant service and divine design. Each density is not a place, but a frequency of being, a vibration of how close we are to remembering our oneness with the Creator. Dimensions, on the other hand, are locations in space-time, vast rooms in the temple of creation. Multiple densities can exist within one dimension, just as many harmonies live within a single song. Even Earth is layered in density: physical, astral, ethereal. Planets across the universe pulse in densities of peace, wisdom, healing, and remembrance, even if the human eye cannot yet see them. In the records, these truths form a sacred map, a guide not just of stars, but of soul evolution. So when you feel music stir your heart, when you gaze at stars and wonder what's real, you are remembering the densities you've touched and the dimensions you've walked before. The light within you knows. You are not just in this world. You are passing through it, on your return to radiance.
Woke up this morning with no attitude. There's a song in my heart in gratitude, with a little bit of heaviness. The world is such a wreck. Got money for war, but can't feed the poor. So I roll up. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Negative thoughts don't stand a chance. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Meditation is my dance. The ever-presence told me to wise up. Take the gang and rise up. No heroes, no leaders, no egos. From where the blues play to Cali, USA. That's dreadful, but in a good way. Celebrate the creator on today. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Negative thoughts don't stand a chance. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Meditation is my dance. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Negative thoughts don't stand a chance. They wanna bang bang on the yogi. Meditation is my dance.
Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. Can we teach and you listen? Everything is gonna change. Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. Can we teach and you listen? Everything is gonna change.
Give us 60 seconds, we'll tilt your skylight on the inside where the old fears lie. Soul get tuned like a harp in the hand. Ethereal notes pull you out of quicksand. You'll feel your breath meet the ever one. Old death shrink when the true work's begun. Angelic math, not just prayers on repeat. It's knowledge that makes the broken complete. A calm in the chest, a no one like dawn. Chains on the heart, one by one. You learn to keep company with the light. Make your shadow kneel, make your courage right.
Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. If we teach and you listen, everything is gonna change. Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. If we teach and you listen, everything is gonna change.
We'll give you maps of the heavens and streets. How thought builds worlds and how wisdom meets the sea. Cosmic bookkeeping, cause and reply. Why the small decisions reshape the sky. Learn the language where phenomena speak. Why cycles repeat and what makes men weak. History flips when you read by the beam. What looks like chaos is a finer scheme. You read the signs that the blinded miss. Turn rumor to law, turn chance into bliss. Mental tools, not just scripture and chant, but ways to think, to reason, to plan,
Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. If we teach and you listen, everything is gonna change. Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. If we teach and you listen, everything
everything is gonna change.
Walk out the room and your steps rearrange. Everything practical start to exchange. Decision become less of a blindfold toss. You move like a bishop and not like a lost cause. Relationships heal when you talk from the sun. Anger grows quiet, new labor's begun. Money, time, they bow to a clearer mind. Choices get cheaper when the truth you find. You carry a lamp for the road ahead. Turn timid whispers into thunder said. Not just faith or facts, a living combined. Spirit enlightened, intellect refined.
Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. If we teach and you listen, everything is gonna change. Can we teach for a minute? Jehovah's called your name. If we teach and you listen, everything is gonna change. Can we teach? Can we teach? Can we teach?
As I divided into two parts, and I commanded man to name them, and he called one Etheria, and the
Integral unit. That is the source of our strength.
Right back like I left something, man. Hey, I don't think too much needs to be said about this. Somebody gave an objective opinion of oahspe after reading it. I think sometimes, all that's really needed is knowledge. And you can make the decision on your own if what you hearing has merit, right? You don't need me. You don't need no book. You dig what I'm talking about? But when you do find out that we were telling the truth and that we were bringing a higher light, and it does sit well with what you know and understand, and you dig what I'm talking about, and it's something you can rock with, well, then you're going to need some people that, already in alignment that can, help you on your path. You dig what I'm saying? And so you can even get a greater understanding of it all on your own. The point is to not be led, right? The point is to make an informed, intelligent decision on all life matters, right? But also spiritual matters also. See? That's that great duality they always talking about. But I think, and shout out to Brian Scott, you dig what I'm saying? I'm going to be reviewing Malachi, Maccabee, and the Minister of Health show today. So probably get a double dose of that cosmonium today, that high etheric light. You dig what I'm saying? Share that out. And some boys be cooking. Those some serious brothers too. And I think, you know what I mean? I can respect somebody who actually does the work and then gives a fair assessment, right? Do I agree with everything this brother said? No, but I'm not supposed to, right? And it is not more that I'm saying he's wrong about necessarily anything, but you know what I mean? It's those insights that he doesn't have. You dig what I'm talking about? Because on a plain reading, you're going, without some of those, finer insights, to put it all together, you dig what I'm saying? It could seem one way, and when in fact it's another thing if you just stopped and noticed the word that came before. You see what I'm saying? It's little stuff like that. And you're never going to get oahspe once. I've read it a 1,000 times, and I find something brand new that I've read this text 1,000 times. And every time I get something new out of it. It never fails. I could do a show on the same chapter and then every day get a brand new point of view. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's so much information and that can be gleaned from it. But with that being said, shout out to Brian Scott and all the people who, you know, out there searching for higher life. Salute to the gang. All praise to the ever-present creator, man. Love, life, balance, man. This the cloud kicker, man, kicking all that pie out the sky. Listen, this is what we do. This is called oahspe, the forgotten Bible that predicts the law of one. Let's cook.
These false gods built heavenly empires on the labor of trapped spirits. They established religions on earth, each claiming to be the supreme deity. If you overlay this pattern on known human history, the rise and fall of Egypt, Greece, Rome, the Dark Ages, the Renaissance, the modern era, the correspondence is unsettling. Though a man sees the light of the sun as he sees a horse in a field, yet there is no such thing as travel of light, in fact, nor is there any substance of light. But that which is called light is polarity of corporeal needles in solution caused by the lines of vortexia. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and I'm beyond excited because today we're finally going to do a deep dive on oahspe, one of the most fascinating books ever written that was mentioned in the Law of One material. That's the only reason I know about it. It's a 1,500-page gigantic book. It took me years, but I have finally read the book, and now we're going to do a deep dive on everything it says, and it is fascinating. Before we go further, I want to invite you to join the Reality Revolution community, where you can find exclusive content, group coaching, and so much more. The link is in the description. In 1882, a New York dentist sat down at a typewriter in a darkened room, placed his fingers on the keys, and something else started writing. For 50 weeks, John Ballou Newbrough claimed his hands moved independently of his conscious mind, sometimes at speeds no human typist could match, producing a document of staggering scope. A 1,500-page cosmological Bible that describes the creation of worlds through spinning vortices, maps, an elaborate spiritual bureaucracy governing the heavens, tells the story of humanity across 25,000 years and lays out a physics of the unseen universe that lines up with material channeled a full century later in the raw material, also known as the Law of One. The book is called oahspe, and almost nobody knows anything about it or has read it. So today I'm going to crack open this 1,500-page cosmic encyclopedia and walk you through what it actually says, because some of it is going to challenge everything you think you know about how the universe works, where you go when you die, and why certain spiritual forces have been steering the course of human civilization for millennia. Before we get into the content, you need to understand how this book came to exist, because the origin story alone is wild. John Ballou Newbrough was a practicing dentist in New York City. He was also deeply involved in the spiritualist movement, seances, mediumship, all of it. But Newbrough became disillusioned. He felt the seances were shallow, parlor tricks. He wanted something deeper, real cosmological revelation. So he did something unusual. He committed to 10 years of purification. He became a strict vegetarian. He fasted regularly. He practiced what he called lifting the spiritual, basically dedicated meditation and prayer to raise his vibration high enough to become a vessel for higher intelligence. And then in 1881, he says a voice told him to buy a typewriter, which by the way was cutting-edge technology in 1881, sit in a dark room before dawn and let his fingers move. He describes a brilliant light filling the room. His fingers began to type, and over the next 50 weeks, oahspe was born. Here's what makes this different from other channel text. Newbrough insisted he did zero editing. The text came through as is. It includes its own terminology, its own calendar system, its own maps, its own illustrations. Over 100 original plates that Newbrough said he drew with the same involuntary hand movement. He claimed he had never studied most of the subjects covered in the book. Now, you can believe that story or dismiss it entirely. What matters is the content, because the content is extraordinary. Because a century later, someone asked Ra, the sixth density intelligence channeled in the Law of One sessions, directly about this book. In session 14, Don Elkins asks, "Can you tell me who was responsible for transmitting the book oahspe?" And Ra's answer is remarkable. Ra says, This was transmitted by one of the Confederation's social memory complex statuses, whose idea, as offered to the Council, was to use some of the known physical history of the so-called religions or religious distortions of your cycle in order to veil and partially unveil aspects or primal distortions of the Law of One. All names can be taken to be created for their vibrational characteristics. The information buried within has to do with a deeper understanding of love and light and the attempts of infinite intelligence through many messengers to learn those entities of your sphere. Let that sink in. Ra is saying that oahspe was transmitted by a member of the Confederation, the same alliance of positive higher density beings that Ra belongs to. Ra is saying that the information buried within oahspe has to do with a deeper understanding of love and light. Ra is saying that the book was approved by the Council of Nine as a strategy for partially revealing the Law of One to humanity. That's extraordinary, and it means Don Elkins, the physicist who conducted the Ra sessions, had already read oahspe. He was already familiar with its concepts. In fact, he uses oahspe as a reference point throughout the Law of One sessions, testing its claims against Ra's answers. And in several key areas, Ra confirms what oahspe teaches. So this is a book that Ra, the same source behind one of the most influential channeled texts in modern history, explicitly identifies as Confederation material, designed to veil and unveil the deepest truths of existence. And yet almost nobody in the Law of One community has actually read it until today. Oahspe opens with a cosmology that is breathtaking in scope. It divides all of existence into three fundamental realms. First, corpore, the physical universe, everything you can see and touch, planets, stars, your body, the ground beneath your feet. Oahspe describes corpore as impenetrable and dense, temporary, and subject to dissolution. It's the realm of mortals. Second, atmospheria, the lower heaven. This is the spiritual realm immediately surrounding the earth, extending outward in stratified layers called plateaus, ranging from 10 miles above the surface to over 100,000 miles high. Atmospheria is where spirits go when they die. It's described as a transitional space, a womb for the soul. Its substance is intermediate in density, made up of what oahspe calls gi and aji, forms of semi-corporeal matter between the physical and the purely spiritual. And third, etheria, the highest heaven, the most rarefied substance in existence, everlasting, inhabited by emancipated spirits who have completed their journey through the lower realms. Etheria takes the forms of arches, curves, and endless strange structures larger than the earth itself. Now, if you've studied the Law of One, this should ring a bell. Ra describes a universe of densities, from the first density of minerals and elements through the third density of self-aware beings, all the way to the seventh and eighth densities of pure unity with the Creator. Oahspe is describing something remarkably parallel, a graduated universe where consciousness ascends through layers of increasing refinement, moving from dense corporeality toward pure light. And the key, both systems agree on the same foundational principle: the unseen governs the seen. As oahspe puts it directly, in all the universe, I have made the unseen to rule over the seen. Let the formation of clouds stand in view of man on earth so that he may bear witness to the way the unseen becomes seen. The invisible realm is primary. The physical world is secondary. A crystallization, a temporary expression of deeper forces. Here's where oahspe starts sounding less like a spiritual text and more like an alternative physics textbook. The Book of Cosmogony introduces a concept called the vortex. According to oahspe, every planet, every sun, every moon exists inside a spinning vortex of Etherian energy. The Earth floats in the middle of its vortex. The outer extremity of that vortex extends beyond the moon. The vortex, by its own rotation, turns the Earth on its axis. The force of the vortex is called vortexia. And the radical claim, things do fall toward the Earth because of the vortex pushing them toward the center. Oahspe explicitly states things do not fall to the Earth because the magnetism of the Earth, but they are driven toward the center of the vortex by the power of the vortex. In other words, gravity, according to oahspe, is a pressure phenomenon, an inward pushing force for the spinning vortex surrounding every celestial body. The Earth has no intrinsic attractive force pulling things toward it. Instead, the vortex drives everything inward. In the creation of worlds, oahspe describes a four-stage process. Stage 1, unseen Etherian currents gather scattered GI and AG and nebulae, subtle substances drifting through the firmament. Stage 2, a vortex forms. The swift rotation at the periphery begins to condense this atmospheric substance, driving it toward the center. Stage 3, condensation causes friction. Friction generates heat. A molten globe of fire is born. Stage 4, the planet solidifies and is set into its designed orbit within the solar phalanx. The sun itself is described as the master vortex, a great vortex that carries smaller planetary vortices within it. The whole solar system travels in a spiraling path through the cosmos called the Great Serpent, and the braided structure carrying the planets is called To-Sang, or the solar phalanx. Oahspe says that Etherian worlds, the highest heavenly realms, pass right through physical solar systems without disturbing them. They occupy the same space at different densities. If that sounds familiar, it should, because Ra says essentially the same thing. Higher densities of existence interpenetrate the lower ones. You're sitting in multiple dimensions right now. You just lack the perceptual apparatus to detect them. Buried inside Oahspe's cosmogony are specific scientific and philosophical claims that had absolutely zero business appearing in a book written by a dentist in 1882. Let's start with the most radical one. Oahspe says, without hedging, that heat is generated locally independently of the sun. Here's the passage. By vortexia, the earth was formed as a ball of fire. By the same power, the warmth of the surface of the earth is manufactured to this day. Do not think that heat comes from the sun to the earth. Heat does not come from the sun to the earth. In this matter, mortals still dwell in part in the superstitions of ancients who believed all things came from the sun. According to Oahspe, each planet manufactures its own warmth through the friction generated by its vortex. The sun is simply the master vortex, the central engine of the solar phalanx, but it is the local vortexian action around each planet that produces heat at the surface. The book goes even further, saying that if the sun were suddenly removed, the master vortex would instantly create another one. Now, is this scientifically accurate by modern standards? That's debatable. But what's remarkable is that Oahspe is challenging the Newtonian model of solar radiation at a time when that model was virtually unquestioned. It's proposing a field-based pressure-driven physics decades before field theory became mainstream. Oahspe says that light is stationary, a local phenomenon of polarization. The book states, though a man sees the light of the sun as he sees a horse in a field, yet there is no such thing as travel of light, in fact, nor is there any substance of light. But that which is called light is polarity of corporeal needles in solution caused by the lines of vortexia. Oahspe describes atmospheric gases assuming the form of tiny needles. On the side of the earth facing the sun, these needles are polarized and aligned. And this polarization is what we perceive as light. On the dark side of the earth, the needles are in confusion, and that confusion is what we experience as darkness. The book even says that when scientists measure as the speed of light is actually the time it takes for those needles to polarize, a cascading alignment like dominoes falling in sequence rather than a particle traveling through space. And then there's the snowflake. Oahspe uses the snowflake as evidence of this invisible structure. It says Jehovah caused vapor to freeze and fall as snow, specifically so that humanity could see the matrix in which atmospheric substance is molded. The hexagonal geometry of a snowflake, according to Oahspe, is a visible signature of the vortexian needle structure that permeates the atmosphere. The Book of Cosmogony discusses what it calls vortexia manifesting through iron wires as electricity. It describes the phenomenon of electrical current flowing through conductors. And in editorial footnote, the modern editors of Oahspe point out that this passage references electron-like behavior 15 years before electrons were discovered by J.J. Thomson in 1897. The text even describes vortexia as being capable of carrying what it calls infinitesimal particles along in a current, a description that maps remarkably well onto what we now understand as electron flow. Oahspe uses the phrase the fourth dimension. In 1882, the Book of Ben describes a force called ooze, the principle of dissolution and return. And ooze declares, I am the fourth dimension, the vanishment of things to the unseen. This is 23 years before Einstein published his theory of special relativity in 1905, and decades before the fourth dimension entered common scientific vocabulary. Oahspe is using the concept to describe how corporeal matter dissolves back into unseen substance, a dimension of vanishing of return to spirit. And then there's the lost continent. Oahspe includes a map, an actual map drawn by Newborough's involuntary hand, showing the outline of a submerged continent in the Pacific Ocean called Pan, also called Waga. According to Oahspe, Pan was the original homeland of the first spiritual races of humanity, and approximately 25,000 years ago, Jehovah commanded its submersion beneath the waves, an event the text identifies as the historical basis for the biblical flood and the deluge myths found in cultures worldwide. The submersion of Pan is described in staggering detail. Etherian ships of fire surrounded the continent. Angelic hosts were deployed, 5 guardian angels for every single mortal on the continent. Birth blankets were prepared to receive the spirits of the dying. Over 24 billion spirits had to be processed and relocated, and the false gods and goddesses who had set up their kingdoms on Pan were trapped behind a wall of pillars of fire, preventing them from escaping to other continents. Now, the idea of a lost Pacific continent was virtually unknown in 1882. The concept of Lemuria had been proposed by zoologist Philip Sclater in 1864, but as a hypothetical land bridge in the Indian Ocean to explain lemur distribution. It had nothing to do with the sunken civilization. James Churchward's popular books about Mu, a lost Pacific continent, were published in the 1920s and 1930s, 40 to 50 years after Oahspe. So Oahspe appears to be the earliest detailed description of a submerged Pacific civilization in modern Western literature. And then there's the prophecy engine. The Book of Cosmogony and Prophecy lays out a mathematical system for predicting the rise and fall of civilizations. It divides time into Danha cycles of approximately 3,000 years, each subdivided by lesser dawns. And it provides specific numerical sequences: 11, 33, 66, 99, 100, 200, 400, 666, 333, 500, 600, 365, that correspond to periods of war, peace, spiritual awakening, and decline. Oahspe says, prophets of old divided time into cycles of 3,000 years with slight variations, and they found that at the beginning of these periods of time, a certain impulse came upon the people, causing them to try to be better and wiser. The scale then rises for 400 years, more or less, and after that, wars and epidemics come upon the people. They then begin to decline, especially in virtue and peace, but the general intelligence suffers little for about another 600 or 700 years, after which time they destroy their libraries and records and reduce themselves to ignorance and vice. This is describing a predictable wave pattern of civilization: rise, plateau, decline, destruction of knowledge, darkness, then rebirth. And it claims this pattern is driven by the Earth's passage through regions of Etherian light and Aji darkness in its orbital path through the cosmos. The cycle is as regular as the tides. If you overlay this pattern on known human history, the rise and fall of Egypt, Greece, Rome, the Dark Ages, the Renaissance, the modern era, the correspondence is unsettling. Oahspe tells an origin story for humanity that's unlike anything in conventional religion, and yet echoes themes across ancient mythologies. It begins with Simu, a primordial substance described as commingled earth, air, water, and heat, a kind of protoplasm. During what Oahspe calls Semuan Age, the earth traveled through a dark region of the firmament, and this substance covered the planet. Then came what the text calls the quickening, Jehovah's presence igniting this primordial soup into biological life. Every living thing was created new upon the earth, each after its own kind. Oahspe is explicit on this point. It quotes the Creator saying, "Each living thing I created new upon the earth, each after its own kind." The first humanoid race was called Asu, the animal man born of the Simu, upright, but without speech, without spiritual capacity, and without the possibility of eternal life. Asu was wholly of the earth, destined to return to the earth completely upon death. Then comes the pivotal moment, what the text calls the cosmic descent. Millions of angels descended to the earth from the heavens. They were told to enjoy the world, but warned against partaking of the tree of life, which Oahspe clarifies means procreation. Many of these angels had died in infancy on other worlds and had never experienced corporeal existence. They were fascinated by the physical, and because it was still the age of Semu, they could clothe themselves in flesh and bone by force of will alone. And they fell. They cohabited with the Asu. They became bound spirits tied to the earth by the blood of their offspring. But from this union, a new race was born, the Elohim, the first humans capable of spiritual awareness and eternal life. Because they carried the seed of angelic spirit, they possessed a birthright to the Ethereal worlds. Now compare this to the Law of One. Ra describes how beings from higher densities, wanderers, and Ra calls them, incarnate into third density to assist in the evolutionary process. Some of them become trapped in the cycle of incarnation, forgetting their origins. The theme is identical: higher consciousness descending into matter, becoming entangled with it, and through that entanglement generating a new possibility for spiritual evolution. One of the most fascinating aspects of oahspe is its detailed description of a cosmic administrative structure governing the spiritual realms. The text reads like a manual for celestial governance. At the top, Jehovah, the Creator, the All, the I Am, named after the sounds the wind utters, oahspe. Below Jehovah, the Orion chiefs, archangels from the highest Ethereal heavens, emissaries of the ultimate light. Below them, God, and here oahspe redefines the word entirely. God is a title and office. A specific archangel is appointed to serve as God of heaven and earth for a cycle of up to 3,000 years. The first god was Sethantes, crowned by the Ethereal goddess Atesiai, who descended in a ship of fire. The text describes that coronation, and the light above descended fast toward us. Like a ship of fire, it came nearer and nearer, till we saw it was far wider than the place of Horeb and all my angel hosts. Atesiai, standing erect and brilliant like a star, raised her right hand, saying, Jehovah, all-wise and powerful, in your name, this your Son, God, I crown. Below God, the lords, governors assigned to specific land masses on earth. 5 lords were originally appointed to oversee 5 divisions, the ancient world: Waga, Pan, the submerged continent associated with Lemuria; Jud, Asia; Dis, Europe; Vohu, Africa; and Thuri, the Americas. Below the lords, Ashars, guardian angels assigned to living mortals, recording every action, every thought, every grade of wisdom; and Asafs, receiver angels who greet and process the spirits of the dead. When a mortal dies, the Ashar formally hands over the newborn spirit, called an Essien, to the Asaf. The Asaf reviews the mortal's karmic record and takes the Essien to the specific heavenly plateau suited to its grade for nursing, education, and labor. This is extraordinary because it describes a fully operational system, complete with job titles, chains of command, transition protocols, and accountability. It's bureaucracy on a cosmic scale. And when Ra describes the workings of higher density social memory complexes coordinating the spiritual evolution of entire planetary populations, the structural parallel is unmistakable. Oahspe contains a passage that once you read it will change the way you think about the relationship between physical and spiritual forever. It's called the law of sustenance, and it states, what men subsist on in corporeal life is entailed on them in spirit for a space of time. In plain language, whatever you feed your body during your life on earth directly determines the condition of your spirit after death. The text lays out 2 paths. Path A, the herbivore, those who eat fruits, seeds, and roots.
Well, honestly, y'all, don't that make sense? Being real, don't that make sense? Haven't we all been told all our lives, well, all my life, right? That you are what you eat. Makes sense. Interesting. Interesting.
Emit what oahspe calls a delightful, nutritious spiritual atmosphere. Their soul separates cleanly from the body at death. Path B, the carnivore, those who eat flesh, fish, and animal products emit a foul-smelling, dense spiritual substance. And after death, their spirit hungers for that same dense energy. This leads to what oahspe calls the engraftment crisis, and it's one of the most disturbing passages in the entire text. The flesh-eating spirits, the Essians who refuse heavenly food, return to the earth. They gravitate to butcheries, battlefields, and fisheries. They literally attach themselves to living mortals to feast on the atmosphere of raw flesh and blood. And if left unchecked, these parasitic spirits drive mortals to drunkenness, war, madness. The solution described in oahspe is equally dramatic. Specialized angelic physicians must be dispatched to physically sever the bound spirits from the mortals and force them into quarantine, 50-year quarantine during which the spirits are forbidden from returning to their earthly families until they lose the desire to engraft.
And see, this is why spirituality ain't no game, because remember, it has to have a duality, right? Remember, spirit is just part of the creation you can't see. Not that it's not real. So the effect that on the spirit has a physical effect. The effect or the cause in the physical has a spiritual effect, and vice versa. They're balanced, but they're opposites. Right? This is why I would love to sit down and talk to the brother Brian Scott, man. You dig what I'm saying? So when a lot of these things are being brought out, I believe just in my spirit that Brian Scott is already a faithist. We don't care if he says he is or if he isn't. His work, right? His level of understanding and comprehension, his want to seek a higher light, right? Good works done for others, proves who he is more than any words could be said, right? It proves who he is. Let's keep cooking, y'all.
And during this quarantine, the spirits are put to work, weaving fabrics, spinning, building ships. Food is only given to those who labor. It's a heavenly rehabilitation program. Oahspe is explicit. Charity alone is powerless to raise a soul. Endless handouts without labor keep a spirit in bondage. Now remember, Nubro, the channeler of this text, was vegetarian. So it's possible that his subconscious predilection towards vegetarianism influenced this part of the text. Everything in Oahspe operates on cycles, and the map.
Now, I want to just add in that's that brother's opinion. But proof against that would be that JBN became a vegetarian after a spiritual experience where it told him to, and they tested him for 10 years, right, to get himself to a point of purification through diet. And that's why they told him to be a vegetarian. When he explained this to his friend about what he thought was a dream, he thought he was dreaming. Just so happened his friend is already a vegetarian, right? And was getting tired of eating a little meat. And he said, yo, if you do it, I'll do it. So I will admit, yes, it could have been JBN given because of his own predilection for only 10 years, right? He would have been in his 50s. You dig what I'm saying? When he stopped eating meat. Late 40s, 50s, when he stopped eating meat. So all his life he would have ate meat. You dig what I'm saying? And then he goes on a vegetarian kick for 10 years. And then they say he's worthy to have Oahspe channel through him. So yeah, you could say it's his own predilection to vegetarianism, but once you read Oahspe, just like he did, and the reason he's saying and the spiritual benefits and the physical benefits that come along with diet, he couldn't have known. Just like the rest of the information in the book, he couldn't have known. So it's the level of information that kind of swayed me towards the side that JBN didn't do any of this. None of this is in fact of him, right? None of it. It came through him. He was the instrument, but he wasn't the mind or the cause, right? So I would lead towards the explanation of diet and what it does and why and all that stuff. No man could have known. Especially the way it's explained in oahspe. So I don't think JBN could have known this either. So that, to me, just offers up, just being fair, offers up a more fair assessment of actually what's being said. Because remember, JBN never claims to take credit for any of this. He says it was totally not me. So anybody trying to say anything else that JBN did anything else but get this published is, that's all he did. He helped author a new way, because oahspe was a new thing. So it had to be brought into creation in a whole new way. It's the first book that was ever electroplated, because how could you copy, them pictures and all that stuff, all the words and, a whole, and no printer was set up at the time to copy a book like oahspe. So a whole new way had to be invented to even print it, right? Basically, Bible purportedly had 2 tablets written by the hand of God. oahspe has the John lamp plates written in copper by electroplating as proof that nothing was changed, right? So authenticity of oahspe as a text and its handling is really, it's uncomparable to anything else, right? When leaning to the fact that this probably came from the Spirit. Because once you read the information, you clearly get an understanding that this didn't come from the mind of a man, not no regular one. Not a white boy from Ohio in 1881. No, sir. You can't even convince me. So the fact that it came through him, we don't really give a damn. We care about the info, right? We don't really even bring JBN up because bruh did his work. You dig what I'm talking about? He going, woo, cuz got a reward coming out this world. You dig what I'm talking about? I can't wait to meet JBN. And I'm not gonna be surprised. I'm gonna just say this. I'm not gonna be surprised if I meet JBN and he a brother. I'm not gonna be surprised. I'm gonna meet the real JBN one day and it's a brother. Light-skinned nigga or something. I'll be like, I knew it. I knew it. Let's keep cooking, man.
Master cycle is called Dan Ha. Approximately every 3,000 years, the Earth passes through a region of extreme Etherian light. During these windows, these cosmic seasons, the old systems are swept aside and the new ones are established. These are the harvest times. Etherian ships of fire descend to collect what oahspe calls the brides and bridegrooms, souls who have been fully educated and rehabilitated in the lower heaven. They ascend to the highest heavens during these Danha windows, and only during these windows. Souls can only ascend during these strict cosmic openings. Between the major Danha cycles are lesser cycles, dawns, occurring at intervals of 200, 400, 500, or 600 years. These bring smaller influxes of Etherian light. And between the dawns, periods of darkness, aji, thick semi-corporeal substance that settles over the earth and its heavens, causing spiritual decline, war, famine, and chaos. Does this sound familiar? Because Ra describes an almost identical system. The 25,000-year major cycle, the harvest, the idea that souls can graduate to higher densities during specific cosmic windows. The concept that planetary conditions oscillate between light and darkness based on cosmic positioning. Even the language overlaps. Ra used the word harvest constantly, so does oahspe.
In oahspe, the 24,000-year cycle is called a gadol, right? The 24,000-year cycle that correlates with the precession of the equinoxes, right? They always say it's 25,000, is 20,000, is no, it's 24,000 years. Why it fluctuates for them? It's because they don't know how to tell time. Right? But once you get a glimpse of this oahspe, I bet you Brian Scott can tell some time now. He's going to say, well, I don't know if it, yeah. Starts to bring things closer to home, right? Way closer to home. When you start to understand that 24,000 years, actual years, real living human years, is what science says is 100 million years. So let me get that. Let me tighten that up for you. When radiocarbon dating says a thing is 100 million years old, right? It's actually only 24,000 years old. Huh? So if science says a thing is 200 million years old, then it's 48,000 years old. Huh? Start to bring things way more. Even though that's a massive amount of time, 50,000, 48,000 years is a massive amount of time. But it makes it sit home a little bit. Well, you got to think about it. 200 million years ago, there were dinosaurs on the planet. That's only 48,000 BC. But what you got to understand is man is on the planet at the same time. Man is on the planet and has civilization already. Virtually like ours. That's what oahspe saying. Whew. It just hit different when you're able to see it and then put it on a historical timeline and then go back using the scientific method and then point at it in real time. Ooh, it's different, right? And y'all see this right here. See over here in the corner, it's talking about the lesser cycles of the Dans. Well, the Dana happens at the beginning of the arc. Let's say this is the beginning at 12, right? And then for the next 200, boom, 400, boom, 500, boom, 600, boom, on round, which equals 3,000 years, right? Roughly an arc, right? But at these intervals of 200, 400, 500, 600, these are times of ascension coming out of a Dana, right? This is explained in your Bible as Ham, Shem, Japhet, and then the other brother, Gautama. or the America. Africa, Asia, Shem, which is really the land in between Africa and Asia, stands from Turkey all the way through Persia, through India, under the Himalayan mountains, all the way to Australia. That's all Shem. Right? And then Ham, all the Middle East, Africa, Guatemala, America. It's a timing system. The stories are allegorical. Well, what y'all got to understand is once you start to be able to understand time, you learn that in 1848, a Dani, or a time of high Etherian light, began. This in 1848 starts the spiritualist movement and spiritualism. So for the next 200 years, from 1848, right, to 2048, we are constantly climbing in high etheric light. So you're going to see the old systems die out and new ones come in. That's going to cause problems. But what you got to understand is if this Dani cycle started in 1848, when is the first 200 years? That's 2048. Huh? That's only 22 years from now, y'all. So what year is it? Come on, y'all. What year is it? If the Dani and the Cosmon era starts here at 1848, and we go into here the first 200 years, all right, and we 22 years from that time, what year is it? What year is it in the Cosmon era? $22 less than 200. What year is it in the Cosmon era? Come on, y'all. Yeah, you actually correct. I got to give it to Durain because it hasn't officially switched to 178 until the summer equinox. It doesn't, the new year is actually the longest day of the year. The new year switches in our warm season, not at the end of the year. Right? But it's going on, right. Correct. You're right. It's going on 178 after Cosmon. Correct. Right? So now we know where we at. We in the 177th, going into the 178th year of the Cosmon era. So 178 starts on the summer solstice. Yep. Remember what happens on these 200, 400. These are times of Etherian harvest where the brides and bridegrooms are taken to the higher heavens. Man, what if they show it? What if this is the reason they coming on with all this fake Blu-ray and disclosure about UFOs and all that stuff, so they can keep people dumbed down that it's really something out there. And I'm gonna just be real with you. Most of what you see is man-made. I'm just say 90% of what you actually see is man-made. I'm gonna say 5% of it is Etherian, and another 5 is probably extraterrestrial. So you only probably see 10% of the real stuff, and that stuff look like comets, but it do crazy stuff. But I'd say 90% of the rest of the stuff you see is man-made. Right? When is it 200 then? Here we go. When is it 200? Right here. FTK Capone, put it right in the chat for everybody. 1848 plus 200 leaves us at 2048. That's when the 200 is up. See how simple this is? This is math, y'all. If it ain't simple, right? If it ain't common sense, if it ain't logic, it ain't creative. Right? This is stuff we could teach your children. You dig what I'm saying? We just getting it though. We babies in the spirit too. That's why you got to give yourself a little grace and a little leeway that we all learning this, man. You dig what I'm saying? If y'all notice, I'm trying to tap more in to the visual side, and I still got to source up, but I try not to just browbeat people with source when I can. The source is what's around us, what we can see. If it's real, Cosmon, point at it, bro. Talk me to death. Right? And I'm trying to get to that more. You dig what I'm talking about? And then also, this is shout out to Brian Scott, man, because he gave his honest opinion. Right? But he read it. He took the time. He was intellectual, man. You got to salute that, brother, because oahspe can be daunting. It can be. From somebody who's read it multiple times. I've read oahspe probably about 5 times. And it's 1,500 pages. It's massive, but I love reading. But I end up doing that because, dude, I'm seeing something new every time. And I got to check that. Hold on, wait a minute. No way. What do you mean Göbekli Tepe? Göbekli Tepe was buried in started in 10953 BC, 153 years before they even explained it was possible in Younger Dryas. So ain't nobody seen this in 12,000 years. Well, how does oahspe know it's here? And what its purpose is. And what that ought to let you know is also that ain't the only one. Remember, there's 4 brothers that went to 4 great land masses. They see in the Bible, well, actually, there's 5 brothers. Bible only gives us the story of 3, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. There's 2 more brothers. Huh? And they got land masses attached to them too. People groups attached to them too. But get into oahspe, man. Get into that. You dig what I'm talking about? You can learn to tell time.
100 years earlier. And the direct confirmation in session 17 of the Law of One, Don Elkins puts the question to Ra point blank. He says, in the book oahspe, it states, if an entity goes over 51% service to others and is less than 50% service to self, then that entity is harvestable. Is that correct? Ra's answer, this is correct if the harvesting is to be for the positive 4th dimensional level. Ra then goes further, explaining that for the negative harvest, service to self, an entity must reach 95% dedication to self and only 5% to others. The negative path requires near total commitment to domination. Think about what just happened. Ra, a 6th density social memory complex, directly confirmed a specific teaching from oahspe, the 51% threshold, the harvest, the polarity, a book written in 1882, confirmed by.
And what you should also notice is that Ra's text in the Law of One comes 100 years after oahspe, right? But the angels and their level of knowledge in the Law of One is far below that of those angelic beings that dictated oahspe to John Balu Newborough. You can just tell that by the script. The level of what they're saying, the lack of clarity that comes with the Law of One compared to oahspe. This thing is a monster. Huh? Compared to a puppy dog. It repeats truth. It tells truth. Shout to the Law of One, you know I got it. Right? Anybody want to go back? Check out some of my older videos. I believe it's in the first 100. It's called the Law of One. Check out the Jehovah Chronicles. Trust me, I think I've done like 2 or 3 shows on it. Just go back, go to Jehovah Chronicles, type in Law of One, it'll come up. You dig what I'm talking about? But you can tell even 100 years later, the level and power and clarity of the angelic beings that gave oahspe is far, what, light years above those that actually came to channel with Don Elkins in it. You dig what I'm saying? No, and shout out to them. You dig what I'm talking about? Obviously, high etheric beings, they saying the quote unquote 6th density. What y'all gotta still understand is they right here in the atmosphere. So, because in the Book of Ra, do say they from Venus somewhere. Well, they could be from the area where you looking at Venus from the Earth. So, just the thought. I don't necessarily agree with that part, but I'm not also saying that there ain't the possibility there's life on Venus that we ain't never heard of. Or we just incapable of noticing because it's a different type of lifestyle. But I don't agree with that part. So you can tell right there's a level. You dig what I'm saying? In the clarity. You dig what I'm saying? A lot of people just walk past that. I ain't walk past that. I ain't let that. So I question even the Law of One too. For the level of information it brings and its righteous attempt, you gotta salute it, right? And so for that's why I read all 5 books. You dig what I'm saying? It do got a lot of good stuff in there, man. But I would say read oahspe first, then read the Law of One, and then it'll make more sense.
By a channeled source in 1981, and Ra treats it as an established fact, as if oahspe were simply reporting accurately on a cosmic mechanism that Ra also understands. Now, this could mean that Don Elkins introduced this subject, and it was a part of the subconscious of the channeler because of their awareness of oahspe, and that is where the 51% actually came from. But it's good to know if you want to know the origins of the Law of One at its most essential level. The narrative goes dark, and it's deeply relevant to human history. Oahspe describes periods called the cycle of Cephas, tens of thousands of years of enforced culture, war, and domination. During these dark periods, certain angels in the atmospherian heavens refused to serve Jehovah. They declared themselves gods. They set up their own kingdoms in the lower heavens and demanded worship from both spirits and mortals. These false gods built heavenly empires on the labor of trapped spirits. They established religions on earth, each claiming to be the supreme deity.
What y'all need to know, this should sound very familiar. This should sound just like Christ. This sounds just like Brahma, like Buddha, like Allah. It is the nature. Once you understand that the religion is the beast, well, that its heads is the dragon. The dragon is religion itself. its four heads are its leaders. It's four false gods: Christ, Buddha, Brahma, Allah. Or alias Thoth Gabriel. Yeah, Jabril. Yeah. He is Allah. It don't make sense until you understand that Christ, Buddha, Brahma, and Allah all mean the same thing. All of them mean the God, but all of them also mean the most high knowledge. And right there, they become false before the Creator. That nigga Christ didn't even know where Adam was in the garden. We just gonna leave it there. I ain't gonna start today. Don't you start that blasphemy, Cosmon.
They inspired warfare, blood sacrifice, and idol worship, all to feed their own power. And the kicker, these false gods are specifically named in oahspe. The text claims that many of the gods worshipped throughout human history, figures that billions of people have prayed to, were actually atmospherian spirits of limited advancement who usurped the divine order for personal glory. Oahspe names them Luemong, a triune god who claimed dominion over the Western world, and according to oahspe, inspired the institutional framework of Christianity through
and he is Christ, right? If Jesus set up the Christian church, what is the name of the God he praised? Christ. That's why y'all always confuse it and call him Jesus Christ, because he is purportedly the physical manifestation of the God himself. But Creator says, have I weakened since the time of Moses, that I need to come down in the flesh and manifest myself to weak ass niggas? Huh? Did I need to do that? You're right.
manipulation of oracles and angelic warfare, Kabbalactes, who co-opted the name of Brahma.
Luamong is the false Christ. Revelation 19, he has a name you don't know. You know it now. It's Luamong, the light bearer. So he's also Lucifer, the light bearer. Ooh-wee.
And set himself up as the god of the Hindu world.
Right? Kabbalactes. Right? We'll go back. So Luamong is Christ. Kabbalactes is Buddha. Inochisa is Brahma. Right? Brahma real name is Inochisa. Kabbalactes. Shoot. Brahma's name is Inochisa. Right? Kabbalactes, his name is Buddha. Christ real name is Luamong. That name in Revelation 19:11 that don't nobody know is Luamong, the light bearer. Right? So let's go back a little bit. We gonna go back. Let it cook.
Over the Western world, and according to oahspe, inspired the institutional framework of Christianity through manipulation of oracles and angelic warfare. Kabbalactes, who co-opted the name of Brahma and set himself up as the god of the Hindu world. Inochisa, who falsely assumed the mantle of Buddha. These three triune gods divided the earth among themselves and waged war against each other and against the remnants of even older false deities, Baal, Ashtaroth, who had dominated earlier cycles. This is also mentioned in the Law of One, implying that some sort of angel created distortions through this religion, claiming to be Jehovah, but actually wasn't. The text describes angelic.
Those religions are called today Christianity, Buddhism, and Brahmanism. Well, you saying, well, Cosmon, there's another one out there. Where it come from? Where all these people come from in Islam? Then what y'all got to understand is that Gabriel, aka Jabril, used to be a worker bee for the false god Christ, aka Luamong. Huh? Lou Among's top hitter, his top hit man, right? His top bag man was Jabril. This is why when anytime Christ needs to speak in the Bible, it is who speaking? Jabril, Gabriel speaking for Christ. He is his number one hitter. And the source of the beef between Islam and Christianity is an unpaid debt from Christ to Jabril, aka Allah. They've been beefing ever since. Because Jabril did put in a lot of work. He got Baal up out of there, Ashtaroth, Dagon, Haggah, thousands of other gods you never even heard of. All because of Jabril work. That boy was a bloody murder man. Bad man. He's a bad man. Right? But we're going to let this cook and we're going to get up out of here. But that's the beef right there between Islam and Christianity. The tricky is today, they're the same God. Ooh-wee. So Israel, and Iran, your God is playing you like pawns. He wants the most destruction, period, because it ameliorates or grows his heaven by your death and your belief, because what you bound to here, you bound to there. Gotcha.
Armies numbering in the billions, clashing across the atmospherian heavens while simultaneously inspiring mortal armies to wage wars on the surface of the earth. It says the wars of the ancient world, the conquests of Cyrus, the conflicts of Greece and Persia, the Roman campaigns were orchestrated from above by competing false gods maneuvering for spiritual territory. Oahspe is saying that the founders of the world's great religions were often genuinely inspired individuals, prophets, and teachers who received authentic light. But the institutions built in their names were hijacked by these atmospherian pretenders who twisted the original teachings into systems of worship and control that fed their own power. Ra describes what they call the Orion Group, a negatively polarized confederation of entities that seek to enslave and control through hierarchy, domination, and the suppression of free will. Ra says these entities actively interfere with the spiritual development of third density beings, using religion, warfare, and fear as tools of control. Oahspe is saying the exact same thing. A century before the Law of One was channeled, it describes a war in heaven between those serving the Creator and those serving themselves. It describes false spiritual hierarchies manipulating humanity. It describes the mechanisms by which manipulation occurs. The Book of Inspiration contains some of the most philosophically rich passages in Oahspe, and they align with the Law of One in ways that are almost impossible to dismiss as coincidence. I am light. I am central, but boundless, says Jehovah. You are like the end of a ray of light from my person, and you are focalized in your corporeal body. I am to your spirit like the sun is to a ray of light. I am the light that illuminates your soul. The ray of light that goes out of me takes root in mortality, and you are the product of the tree. You are nothing. Though all things that constitute you existed before, these I drove together and quickened, thus I made you. And then, as the whirlwind gathers up dust and drives it toward a center, so is the plan of my universe. You are like a center, all things come to you from without. Ra says, you are everything, every being, every emotion, every event, every situation. You are unity, you are infinity, you are love, light, love, you are. This is the Law of One. The parallel is stunning. Both describe individual consciousness as a focalization of infinite light. Both describe the self as a center through which the universe flows inward. Both frame the Creator as simultaneously central and boundless, the origin point of all rays present in all things. And both insist that you are unable to add anything to yourself through your own will alone. All growth, knowledge, and inspiration flows from the source through you. You are a lens through which the infinite is concentrated into a single point of awareness. Oahspe ends with a prophecy. It declares that a new era has begun, the Cosmon era, the seventh era of humanity. The physical inhabitation of the earth is complete. Global communication is established, and something unprecedented is about to happen. The heavens are opening. The ambassadors of the angel host are rendering up the records of the gods and lords. Physical awareness is being united with the spiritual awareness for the first time in human history. And Oahspe says something remarkable about its own status. It is meant to serve as a practical manual, teaching mortals how to hear the Creator's voice and see the heavens in full consciousness. It explicitly warns against worshiping the text itself. Now step back and look at the larger picture. In 1882, a dentist in New York produces a 1,500-page cosmological text describing a universe of graduated densities, spinning vortices that create worlds, a sophisticated heavenly administration, cycles of harvest where souls ascend, false gods.
Basically, the man broke down quantum physics. Showed you quantum mechanics in real time before the atom was found. This is 13 years before the atom. From a dentist. You think he knew this stuff? Nobody knew this. That's the amazing part. Nobody could have known this.
Manipulating humanity through religion and war and the fundamental nature of consciousness as focalized infinite light. 100 years later, in 1981, a physics professor in Louisville, Kentucky channels a being called Ra who describes a universe of graduated densities, an elaborate system of cosmic governance, cycles of harvest where souls ascend, negative entities manipulating humanity through religion and power structures, and the fundamental nature of consciousness as focalized infinite light. Either this is the most extraordinary coincidence in the history of channeled literature, or these two sources are describing the same reality from different vantage points, or they were simply influenced by each other. Thing nobody wants to say out loud, if Oahspe is accurate, even partially, then the universe you live in is vastly more structured, governed, and purposeful, and more alive than anything mainstream science or mainstream religion has ever told you. You are surrounded right now by stratified layers of spiritual substance. Guardian angels are assigned to you by name. Even your diet is shaping your afterlife. Cosmic cycles are determining the windows through which your soul can ascend, and the forces that have shaped human civilization, every religion, empire, war, may have been orchestrated by beings operating just beyond the threshold of human perception. The question is, are you ready to take that seriously? Oahspe has been sitting on dusty shelves for over 140 years. I don't hear anybody talking about it. Just waiting for someone to pick it up. And given everything we've explored today, maybe it's time. At a minimum, is there anyone out there that has read this book? Because there's so much more. There's references to Thor and Zarathustra, Prajapati. There's so many stories and things in this gigantic book. I would love to know what you think about it. I want to hear from you. Had you ever heard of Oahspe before this? Do the parallels with the law of one surprise?
Y'all get with him. Y'all get with him. I hit him in the thing, man. Told him, let's get together. You dig what I'm saying? Go through the channel, check it out. If, you can clearly see that somebody is working with this. Right? And it's only 4 men in the world, really. Just out here standing on the front line. Salute to the 4 horsemen, man. With that being said, man, this big Cosmonian, man, I'm getting up out of here. Go get these short leggers. You dig what I'm saying? And we gone. Look. Woo.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
Before the earth took shape, new sound of sight, the creator sliced the time in the day and night.
He breathed through void till the ether stirred, then sent angels and prophets to teach his word. Motion, notion, devotion aligned, encoded design in the spine of time. Wind wrote signs on the breath of the prime. S intertwined with the flesh of the line. Quicken the killer, conceiver entwined. Dual divine, the ether confined. Two entities birthed, corpor and S. Life compressed in the vortex nest. Spirit in the mist, physics resist. Matter persist in jehovih's fist. Dust kiss flame, play became twist. Anatomy gift from the infinite list. Male and female named through air. EOE, that sacred blare, not beast, not a star. Not anywhere but the whisper of wind as a builder's prayer. Vortex speak, the sequence hum, the life resume. From void to bloom, to eat the groom, creation's womb. Every tune in the flames plume, a living room. If your soul need food, here's what you consume. The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only